Okay, hi everyone. I'm going to ask Sarah. You can unmute yourself too in a second. I'll let you introduce yourself. I just wanted to say welcome and hello to everyone who's joining us today. My name is Jessica Millstone. I'm the Director of Engagement here at BrainPOP. Sarah, do you want to say hi?
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Sarah Hunter. I am a very proud certified BrainPOP educator and have been a fan of BrainPOP since I was using it in my classroom and in my STEM labs several years ago. Got to meet Moby at one point in my career, so that was a highlight. Also a curriculum coordinator with Avon Community Schools in central Indiana and very passionate about purposeful use of educational technology. And so, with that, obviously, comes the role of digital citizenship.
Great. Thank you so much, Sarah. I also have a really strong background in digital citizenship. I worked for many years for Common Sense Media, who's one of the leaders in producing resources and messaging out to both parents and teachers about the importance of digital citizenship. And I joined BrainPOP about 3 years ago. And I've done a lot of things here at BrainPOP, both for the educator community and also building some of our family audience. But I'm really excited to be involved with this particular offering, which at its core, our mission is to provide our digital citizenship resources that we've had for many years, to update them, refresh them, and then provide them for free to teachers everywhere. So I'm really excited to be working here with Sarah today from Indiana. To this week is Indiana's Digital Citizenship Awareness Week. So we're doing this in collaboration with them. And I'm really excited just to get the word out to teachers all over the country about some of the resources that we have available. So I wanted to start quickly and just show you, sorry, start with the agenda, some of the things that we're going to be covering today in the webinar. We talked a little bit about who we are and what our backgrounds are like. We hope that you'll ask lots of questions in the chat if you have any specific things that you'd like to know about teaching digital citizenship or anything specific about what's on BrainPOP or what Indiana has available, both to their teachers and more widely. We're going to start with, what is digital citizenship and discuss that a little bit from the perspective of one of the people that we've worked with a little bit through ISTE, named Mike Ribble. We're going to talk, I'm going to show you what it looks like on BrainPOP to use our new digital citizenship collection. It's been new and updated. I hope a lot of you are familiar with BrainPOP already. If you're brand new to BrainPOP, this is a free offering with sign up, and I'll show you exactly how to do that as well. Then I'm going to switch it over to Sarah. Sarah's going to talk a little bit about using digital citizenship in the classroom and what some of those activities look like with BrainPOP. We hope that that's applicable also to lots of other programs that you might be using. And we're going to talk about the pathways, of course. Thanks, Sarah. Then we're going to have some time for Q&A. If you have any questions for us, maybe Sarah and I will just chat a little bit about our experiences bringing these kinds of resources to teachers. And then we'll talk about other resources too, because we know that BrainPOP's not the only game in town, and we want to make sure that you know about all of the ways that you can support this work in your school. And say goodbye. So we're going to do all that in just 45 minutes. So we'll get started. So I'm going to talk a little bit about digital citizenship from the perspective of the 9 elements of digital citizenship. And if you're in the chat, if you could just say yes or no, if you have any experience with this particular framing. Other people might be familiar also with Common Sense Media's framing around what is digital citizenship. I like this one a lot, and I came across it like fairly recently. It's the 9 elements of digital citizenship are something that's developed by someone named Mike Ribble. He works really closely with ISTE, the International Society for Technology and Education. I found this great little storification of his 9 elements that was created by Sylvia Duckworth. I don't know if you guys are familiar with her animations, but she does a great job of wrapping up a lot of education ideas, and I see them in a lot of people's presentations. She's really, really glad. As Kimberly said, I've used this graphic to introduce it to our staff. I see this in a lot of presentations, and I think it's a great way to kind of quickly communicate to a large group of people what are some of the key elements that we want teachers to know about, and then especially what we want to be passing down to our students. And they are, just really briefly, etiquette, literacy, digital communication. There's a lot of aspects around commerce. I mean, we're increasingly, doing more and more digital transactions. Access, there's still a big digital divide out there between those who do have access to the internet full time, those who don't, and what exactly they have access to. There's digital law. There's a whole realm around privacy that is being debated now in our courts. Rights and responsibilities. That really gets at like the heart of, I think, one of BrainPOP's real perspectives on this is around, what are some of our responsibilities as digital citizens, and how can we kind of model that and mentor that for our students? Then, of course, there's issues of health and security as well. I can see, and I'm looking in the chat, that there's a lot of people who are, like I said before, using Common Sense Media's framework and strands. And I found that to be really useful as well. And one thing that I really like about Common Sense Media is their emphasis on the relationships that people have through digital media, whether that's, academic relationships or, personal relationships. And I think that we see that a lot in how our students are using technology online. But at the heart, we really here are, emphasizing that, as teachers, as human beings in this world, we really have the responsibility to mentor and to model good behavior online, and to tell kids a little bit more about how to use technology in a safe and responsible way, and above all, in a positive way. And so that's really what we are trying to do here with our digital citizenship offering. Has anybody here ever used BrainPOP's digital citizenship movies or lesson plans, quizzes at all? Have they used them in the classroom at all?
We have really enjoyed using the different digital citizenship resources that are available on BrainPOP, partly because we can really differentiate to the different levels of our students. And that's so important when you're looking for those different digital citizenship tools, is being able to reach your audience and make it accessible for students. The resources that are available in BrainPOP Junior, BrainPOP, can really span that, and they work so well in partnership with other resources like Common Sense Media curriculum.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for jumping in with that. I appreciate that. Okay, so let me start from the very beginning, which is on BrainPOP, right from our homepage, you can access our new digital citizenship collection. And as I just asked, and as Sarah was saying, a lot of people have been using our resources for a long time. We started building digital citizenship resources and topics about 10 years ago, about 2007. And when we decided to, as a company, make these resources available for free, we really felt so committed to updating them. So I hope that if you have used BrainPOP topics before on this before, you will take another look at some of them. What we've done with this collection, which I'll click on now right here from our homepage, what we've done is we've pulled together about 14 of our topics that relate to either communicating online, the history of the internet, computer programming. There's more kind of non-digital topics in here, like conflict resolution, plagiarism. There's also, really famous ones in our part, like cyberbullying and the digital etiquette movie, of course. We also have in here media literacy, which is one of our new free topics across BrainPOP, with or without the digital citizenship subscription. So, we really wanted to look at all of our topics in this category and refresh them and really update them for the most recent uses that we're seeing with kids, and especially in the classroom. So right now, when you're looking at my screen, I am not logged in yet. So this is what the preview of digital citizenship looks like. And you can see that if you already have a BrainPOP account, you don't need to sign up for a new one. This is all included in what you already get with BrainPOP. But we also wanted to make it available for people who don't have a subscription. So if you don't have a subscription to BrainPOP, you can click on this sign up form, and you just have to fill out your name and your email and your school. And then also let us know like who is kind of the administrator of these type of tools in your classroom, because that's going to let you sign up not just for a teacher account where you get to use all of the resources, but also let you sign up your students for their accounts. And as I go through the offering, I'll show you why that's a really important part of signing up for digital citizenship, so that your students have individual access to all of the resources, and most importantly, our creativity tools like Make a Movie and our new creative coding platform. But since I already subscribed to BrainPOP, because I guess as part of my work here, I get to do that a lot, I'm going to go ahead and log in. I'm going to log in as a teacher. And you'll see that it's going to change a little bit of what it looks like on the screen. You'll still be able to see, as a teacher, you'll be able to, of course, see all the topics. You'll be able to see the pathways and the lesson idea. The only thing you're not seeing is that upgrade button, because I'm already a subscriber. But if you are a subscriber just to digital citizenship, you always have the option, if you're interested in our other 800 to 900 other topics now, you can request a quote on what that would entail. But all of these topics are available for free with your sign up. And I'll just give you a preview that coming up in October for National Digital Citizenship Week, in the middle of October, we're going to be launching 4 additional topics with this offering. So you've gotten to see a little bit of the topics that are included on BrainPOP on the digital citizenship topics panel. I'll go ahead and show you the pathways, which I'm really excited about. This is the first time on BrainPOP that we've done something like this, where we've kind of curated together a way to use individual topics and then also interrelated topics together in a pathway for your that goes directly to your students. So if you were logged in as a student, which I can show you a little bit later if we have time, if anyone's interested, I can show you that. If you're logged in as a student, you won't see quite as much text on the screen here, because we know students want to just really dive right in. But teachers will be able to send their students to the pathways area and be able to look at the order in which we are kind of highlighting and recommending some of the many, many features that we have on every topic. One thing that we've heard from teachers, feedback we've gotten from teachers, is that there's a lot on every topic. If you went to watch the digital etiquette movie, for example, if you went to the digital etiquette topic page, you would see that there's a quiz, a challenge, there's Make a Movie, Make a Map, there's Newsela now, we have primary sources. We have so many features now, you have to click on additional features. But so many of these wonderful, wonderful resources are kind of buried down a little bit, and we wanted to make sure that teachers were able to see them and be able to pass those on to their students. So we've pulled out for each, and we've sort of curated a little bit of like a topical pathway for a bunch of different items. One of which is My Digital Life, which is really about how do you really behave and interact with people online. We have a digital history guide that we've created, which talks a little bit about the history of computers, computer science. Ada Lovelace, one of the wonderful women who is who's a featured person on BrainPOP and a featured historical figure on BrainPOP, but also really essential to, she was one of the very first computer programmers. We have just what is the internet? Sometimes this is a really challenging topic to teach, especially now when it seems like there was never a time before the internet. And so this is a really nice way to remind students about how things started and where a lot of the metaphors and the things that we assume about the internet came from, because they all came from a very particular place, and the way that it could be developing in the future it can be impacted by the way it started. We also have 3 other ones. Be Your Best Online Self, which is really about, again, responsibility and letting teachers be able to model some of the scenarios that students might take place either in their personal interactions or within the school itself. This one features one of our game partners, Common Sense Media, who's created a digital game that gets to that. So we're recommending a new order of things. Play the game first, and then maybe watch the movie, and then use the primary source. Almost all of our pathways culminate in a Make a Movie project. And that's the really important thing to show, because Make a Movie is one of our new tools, our new creativity tools that lets teachers and students really show what they've learned from the content that they see on BrainPOP. And so with every Make a Movie, we have pre-written letters that are specific to the topic. And then also, of course, students can write their own. And then they're able to kind of, you know, show what they know from this movie, and then also teach each other a little bit about it. We're going to talk a lot more about what we can do with all these artifacts that you create on BrainPOP in a little bit. Sarah's going to preview a little bit of that. But just to show you the last two, we have plagiarism and copyright, we have media literacy. And then I'll show you the next thing into our lesson ideas tab. We really encourage teachers to not only just use our own pathways, but once you're logged in as a teacher, you have the ability to assign topics. And that's a really powerful way for you as a teacher to be able to kind of create your own custom pathways. Let's see if I can get to this. If I go back to the digital etiquette topic, this is not going to let me do that. I can do it this way though. If I go back to any one of these topics, we have, and I'm logged in as a teacher, you'll see at the bottom there's an assign button. And one of the things now that you can do is not just assign one thing like the movie, for example. You can also use our assignment builder to do basically what we've done with the curated pathways. So you can go in and choose the different features within a topic and even add additional topics if you want. You can add another topic that's related. It can, we give you a prompt for some of the ones that are available. You'll only have access to the digital citizenship topics if that's the limit of your subscription. But if you subscribe to all of BrainPOP, you can do this with all of topics, and they can be digital citizenship topics plus social studies or plus engineering plus science. You can add whichever other ones that you want as well. So that's a really exciting thing. And one thing that we've tried to do is pull together some of the resources that you'll need immediately in order to use this in your classroom. So for example, I showed you a pathway that had the digital compass game featured. So we put a direct link to the lesson plan for that we've created. Evaluating online sources is a really important topic around digital citizenship. So we've decided to put that lesson plan really at your fingertips here. Make a movie, since most of our pathways culminate in a Make a Movie project, we've actually created a brand new lesson plan that's just around using Make a Movie with these digital citizenship topics. Because you can, have your students be making movies on so many different ones and teaching each other about the things that they've learned from that content. And then, of course, we have a real rich educator resource page, which I'll link to directly here. So if you click on that button, you'll get to our free BrainPOP Educator website, our standalone website, where we have, of course, every possible support for you to use BrainPOP, the whole thing. But we've sort of curated a list of the important things that you might need in order to make the best use of this offering. So we have a primer on digital citizenship based on the 9 elements that I presented before. I have a little video overview of just where to find everything, just sort of the tour that I just gave you. This is digital citizenship assignments and custom pathway step guide so that you can, as I said, create your own custom pathways and assign those, just batch assign them right to your students after your individual student accounts and classes are created. And then we have supports for the assessment as well. What are the standards alignments, some of the storyboarding support, and rubrics for the Make a Movie and Make a Map tools that we feature. And then down at the bottom are the same lesson plans that you saw on the lesson idea page, with the addition of this one around creative coding, which is another one of our very cool creativity tools that is now available in the digital citizenship topic offering. Okay, let me see if I can get back to our presentation here. Okay. Oh, I can see lots and lots of questions. I wasn't able to see the chat while I was rattling away there, but I'm really excited that so many people have questions about how to log on, how to subscribe. Maybe you already have access to all of this. I'm really looking forward to getting deeper with a lot of you on how this is working for you. Oh, and of course, I just lost my presentation again.
There was one question about how long is the free subscription?
I'm really excited to tell you that the subscription does not expire. This is a free subscription for these topics. As I said, we're going to be adding to the topics, which I'm really excited about, but it does not expire. So it's a little bit different than some of the usual free trials that BrainPOP offers that are everything, all of the topics for about 30 or 60 days, or sometimes 90 days. This one is a limited amount of topics, but we are not taking it away from you anytime soon. One of the goals of that is so that we can, oh, you are seeing that, okay, good. One of the goals for us of making this so that it's doesn't expire is so that you can really spend some time setting up your student accounts and using all of the tools like the student accounts and the classes, and making sure that you're utilizing all of those My BrainPOP features, whether it's assignments or the creativity tools. These are all things that are only available if you have the individual accounts. A lot of that is for technical reasons because you have to have a kind of dashboard, a place to for students to be able to store all of these creative things that they're making. But we really want you to use it, and so we want to give you as much time as possible to use it. Okay, let me see. Okay, so we're going to switch now over to Sara, and Sara is going to talk a little bit about what this looks like in the classroom.
Yeah, so I just first have to say wow, because every time BrainPOP adds a new feature or develops additional content, I'm just always amazed at how much better this tool gets every day. And it's so generous and just speaks volumes about BrainPOP as an organization for student learning and how we're leveraging that digital learning, that you're making this digital content available for the digital citizenship content available for free for educators. So everybody who's listening, if you're not a subscriber, you need to sign up. And if you are a subscriber and you have friends that aren't, they need to sign up. So let's get that word out there. Those digital citizenship pathways are amazing, and the ability to customize that yourself. I wanted to share a little bit about the ways that we look at digital artifacts and what we do with those digital artifacts in my school district, and just a little bit from my experience, and talking about classroom discussions. And so when we think about blended learning or how we're leveraging technology in our classrooms, it's first and foremost so important to start with those relationships and setting those expectations. So when you're developing those community values for your classroom, and you're thinking about, how are we going to be learning face-to-face, but what do we also value when we're learning together in a digital environment? Those are just those most basic digital citizenship conversations to be having. We use a learning management system in my school district called Schoology. And so we have a lot of conversations about, what do those comments look like if we're responding to each other on discussions in Schoology? How are we using academic language? Is it okay to use abbreviations that we might use in text messages? Or, what are those appropriate responses? And allowing your students to collaborate and brainstorm in those discussions is so important. That really helps them have that ownership over those expectations, and it helps them have that ownership over their digital learning environment. So one of our favorite things to do is to app smash with different tools that we have available. And I am a huge fan of the Make a Map tool in BrainPOP, and I love it for a lot of different reasons. One is that you can build a map. I have an example on the screen I built just about, my personal privacy and that personal information privacy. You can use it just sort of free form and construct your own ideas using content from one specific video or a few different videos and themes. But I like there are also templates available. Or my favorite way to use it, once students have an understanding of the functionality of it as a tool, is just simply as a concept mapping tool, because within Make a Map, you can search for any kind of keywords. You can pull in video clips from any of the videos. So we've used this in terms of setting classroom expectations and how are we going to learn together in our classroom? What does respect look like? What are non-examples? And so we've had students create those maps, and then we take those maps out of BrainPOP and put them in a gallery walk in Schoology and encourage students to have that conversation. We do that face-to-face, and we do it through our learning management system. So when you're taking that, once students have produced that digital artifact, it's so important to not let it stop there, but to really do something with it. And so that's where that leveraging other tools that you have available can really be so powerful. And the other piece I would say to that is that the role of collaboration. That sometimes for our younger learners in the primary grades, navigating Make a Map on their own might be kind of overwhelming. And that's really where like a 2-to-1 or a 3-to-1 ratio at a computer can come in handy. They can use that note section to type in their names so everyone's represented. And now we're really amping up that level of conversation in the classroom, because I'm having dialogue with my classmates about what it is we're trying to represent on our concept map. And we're learning how to use these digital tools. So app smashing with digital artifacts is definitely a favorite of ours. And then I also just really have to highlight the primary sources in BrainPOP. I think that they could easily be overlooked. But I took a look specifically for this week at the copyright primary source, and oh my gosh, it's actually a legal document. It's the full legal document for a young man who was being prosecuted for kind of like the Napster generation of downloading songs off the internet that were not his. They were not his property. And there is so much potential in the primary sources to also app smash and blend with other applications, or just to leverage the resources that are available in BrainPOP for those conversations, and great products that could come out of that. Students working together to co-create and develop an argument for or against, should this be allowed or should it not be allowed? I do see a question in the chat, what is app smashing? And so my definition of app smashing would just be where you take more than one digital tool and use them together. And so my example was students downloading their Make a Map, saving it as a PDF or a JPEG file, and uploading it then into our learning management system so that we can do a virtual gallery walk. So that's how I would explain and define app smashing. Jessica, would you go to the next slide? Okay, so again, this is another example of just when I think BrainPOP can't get any better, it does. Let's just start with media literacy in general. I love this thread on BrainPOP, this content development with media literacy. It is so relevant to where we are today. And I think that's one of the great benefits of content available through BrainPOP, is just its relevancy. And so many of the updates to the videos in the digital citizenship strand have really been updated well to reflect more of what our students are experiencing in the world around them. So that relevancy is so important. And I think when we think about digital citizenship, this media literacy is so important. And, let's challenge ourselves as educators to really determine how early we need to start this media literacy conversation with our students. They're on devices at such young ages, and discerning what's an ad, what's real information, what isn't real information, what does that click here mean. This is important. These are really important conversations for us to be having in the classroom as our students are interacting with so many different tools. So as I was exploring the media literacy content, I was delighted to see that there's now a Newsela integration with BrainPOP, where there are specific Newsela articles that directly support BrainPOP content. And I'll be honest, it kind of blew my mind. And I so appreciate how these different tools are working together to bring the best of these themes together for us as educators to be able to use. And I love the feature that we can also assign it directly in BrainPOP. So again, going through and building those individual student pathways is really, that's a great feature and so important. And so when I think about how we use these tools in the classroom, it isn't just an individual student watching the video or interacting with the primary source, but really thinking about how are we having the conversations and the dialogue around the bigger ideas here. And so I love that we could use these Newsela articles to have those conversations and for students to be able to really have some argument about, what is real news versus fake news. And so again, so important, such an important theme right now and so relevant for where we are today. Would you go to the next one? All right, so I am so proud to represent Indiana educators as well as certified BrainPOP educators today. We have a very active and vocal through social media group with the hashtag INELearn on Twitter and all forms of social media. And this week, we are celebrating Indiana's Digital Citizenship Week. We do have a special hashtag for this week. So if you're on social media, definitely follow INDigCit or INELearn. And I included the link, and I'll add it in the chat later. I included the link to our Department of E-Learning's Digital Citizenship website. And I just have to give a shout out to some amazing educators, and I think one of them might actually be participating today, with some digital breakout games. And so these are games that have been developed in that style of the breakout, those kind of simulations where students have to solve clues in order to get what's in the box, to find out what's in the box and solve the problem. And so these are actually done for digital citizenship and in a digital format, and they are fantastic. So I will share that link in the chat in a few minutes. And I just have to recognize and thank the governor of Indiana, Governor Holcomb, who saw the relevancy and the importance of digital citizenship, and in recognizing that so many of more than the majority of our Indiana students are consistently engaging in their education through digital learning experiences. And so with that comes a responsibility for all of us to participate in teaching our students about what it means to be a digital citizen. And so he actually put out a formal proclamation declaring this week as Indiana's Digital Citizenship Week. So I take a lot of pride, comfort, and I also have a lot of respect for our state leaders who have fully embraced the need and the purpose for digital citizenship without taking the time to really talk with our students about how we're using these tools purposefully, safely, respectfully, and responsibly. We're not going to be able to make some of those changes. We think about sometimes how adults interact in digital environments, and I know I want this next generation to do better than maybe I have at sometimes. So we've got a lot of great things that are occurring in the state of Indiana this week, and I hope you'll take a few minutes and check out those hashtags and the e-learning website.
Oh my God, Sarah, thank you so much. That was like a very inspiring use of many tools together, and some of them, are native to BrainPOP, like the Newsela integration, which if, in the later when we Q&A, if anybody wants me to show what that looks like on the screen, I can do that. But also things like Breakout EDU. So we actually, we've done a breakout as well. So BrainPOP has published a formal breakout that uses many of our topics in order to do this 45-minute kind of escape the room activity, just like you described. And so we really love that too. And I'm definitely going to check out your link when you post it on the chat. The other thing I wanted to pull out from what you mentioned was the idea of using Make-A-Map as your classroom culture, as sort of setting the tone for your classroom for the year. It's still kind of back to school season. A lot of people started last month. Some people just started this month. But this is still the time when you can really help establish those expectations for how you want your kids to behave and to communicate with each other and collaborate. And I think that's a great tool that you could use in a group setting, or you could have your individual students be making their own maps that they can share with each other. And as Sarah mentioned, that's something you can do classroom, and you can print it out and share things on paper. You can also embed those artifacts. You can save them as PDFs, and they can be, built into, put into your LMS system, and be able to have a real discussion around what other people have highlighted as the important features of a particular topic. I also wanted to, Michelle, I just want to also thank Michelle Green, who is here from Indiana. I didn't see any other teachers say that they're from Indiana either, but I know that your state Department of Ed has put out a lot of resources that are available for everyone. And including those that Sarah just shared, I wanted to also just call out a few more resources that are out there for people looking for digital citizenship content, because we know that there's a lot of great stuff out there. Common Sense Media, we've mentioned a couple times, they have a collaboration with Nearpod where you can find some of their materials. ISTE has also done a fantastic job of pulling together, like Common Sense Media's, like teacher resources, professional development resources around what it means to become a good digital citizen and how to communicate that to your students. And then like BrainPOP, we really wanted to focus on providing the resources that can go right to students. There's not a lot of PD or teacher-facing material. It's mostly stuff that you use right with your students. Like that, there's a couple more. Google has one called Be Internet Awesome. It's a game-based learning environment around these topics. NetSmart, Everfi, Learning.com, they have ones that are for students also. And then as Indiana has done, a lot of states and districts have put together their own websites for digital citizenship specifically. And I encourage you either in the chat, or you can email us at digitalcitizenship@brainpop.com. You could email us about any kind of great resources that you have available from your state or district. Or if there's a digital citizenship week or day coming up in your community, we would love to know about that. Okay, so I wanted to say thank you, first of all, and to see if there's any questions that you have for either one of us. And Sarah, feel free to unmute and jump in if there's any questions that come up in the chat that anybody has for us.
Okay.
I wanted to, again, say thank you for providing all of this great examples in the classroom.
Oh, it's been my pleasure to share. I'm enthusiastic about it, but it's such an important topic. So somebody did ask about the breakout that I was describing, and so the breakouts that I shared are on the link that I put in the chat, and that's specifically for Indiana's Digital Citizenship Week. and they are in the resource toolkit under classroom resources when you get to that website.
Have you done the breakout with the teachers before?
I have not yet, and I am dying to try it this year. So that is on my agenda as I'm working with teachers.
I was very lucky to participate in our ISTE classroom this year. We have a breakout for BrainPOP, and it is, they call me director of engagement here, but like that's the most engaging thing I've seen, I have to say. Both the timing of it and the you know, like the sort of excitement of it, but also that so many of these resources, you know, like it becomes very meta, and you really get to know a resource so carefully because you're trying to figure it out, and you're getting really deep into it, and you're collaborating with all these other people, and the roles and responsibilities come to the surface, and it's very exciting.
I am going to have to dig into that so much more. Jessica, I would love to see more about the Newsela integration if you want to share that.
Okay, great. Let me, well, first of all, I'll just say I just clicked to the next slide, and I reminded me that we actually have a webinar coming up on BrainPOP and Newsela together. So we have one of our other CBEs, Kathy Gilner, has done a lot of PD around this already with our certified BrainPOP community. And so she's going to do a webinar on Wednesday, the 27th, just about BrainPOP and Newsela. So anyone here who was also intrigued by that, definitely show up that day. And then the week before that, on Wednesday, the 24th, I can't see the number, the 20th, sorry, we're going to have our second Coding in the Classroom webinar. We had a really successful one a few weeks ago, just launching back to school with our new creative coding platform, which is included in the digital citizenship subscription. And that, so I really encourage you to check that out. It's going to be with VidCode, who's our technical partner on that. So, you know, just like we were talking about with app smashing, I think BrainPOP is, over the last couple of years, has worked really hard to play nicely with all these other great ed tech products that are out there. And we're really lucky that we've had great partners and people who want to collaborate with us and become part of it. So I'm going to try to go back to my screen here. Takes a minute. So if you go to any topic that has Newsela, the easiest way to find out which of our topics have Newsela is to go into our search bar and just start typing in Newsela. And then you're going to get a search result that has all 141 topics now that have Newsela articles attached to them. So things like bullying, not our cyberbullying topic, but things like bullying is in there. Mars, which is one of our free topics and therefore part of the digital citizenship subscription. I haven't gone through to see exactly which ones have digital citizenship stuff, but I know that, for example, media literacy is one of them. Of course, not finding that right this very second, but I'll go back and I'll just look at Mars to show you. Or bullying. I'll try bullying. So if you go to the topic page, you'll see the Newsela button right here. It says new, that'll last for a couple more weeks, but the new banner will eventually come off. And when you click on Newsela, it'll just go right to the intermediate page, and you can either assign it to your students or you can actually launch it and open it. And that really depends on, you know, since I'm a teacher, I'm seeing the assign option, but for your students, it'll just say go right to the Newsela article. And then the great thing about Newsela is that, you know, the real functionality of Newsela is that it levels the reading for students. And you can go from what might be a kind of maximum literacy level down to, you know, many different versions of this same article, which give you both different headlines and then also, you know, different sort of levels of synthesis in the article itself. And I agree, Sarah, that that's a really great integration for digital citizenship specifically, because you're really getting to that, what's the meaning behind this? And like, how is this playing out in our society?
Well, it's such a great opportunity to talk about bias and to talk about assumptions as well. And those are such overarching themes that can really, be throughout the school year as students are interacting with different texts.
Exactly. So I'm going to go to one of my ending slides. We talked a little bit about the upcoming webinars, and we'll start to wrap up. Please, again, any questions that you have, post them in the chat. I wanted to mention again the digital citizenship teaching resources that we have available on BrainPOP Educators, our standalone website, which is educators.brainpop.com. We have that wrap-up educator resource page. You can also find it through our navigation bar or through the search field. Here's the direct link at the bottom here. And then we have this, we have a specific email if you have any questions about how to sign up, what comes with it, how to share that information with other teachers. We want to support you in any way possible. Oh, Sherry, that's a great question. Will there be ways for teachers to suggest other pathways? Not yet, but thank you for asking, because that is something where we are soliciting feedback and suggestions about the pathways specifically, and we're hoping to do a next round of improvements on them after we get some of our user feedback. We really love to get the teacher voice into our product as product developers here. And so the more that we hear from you about what kinds of features you would like, that would be, really excellent feedback for us to have as we redesign it. Right now, we do have the quiz mixer, which is another way to customize some of the material on BrainPOP. And teachers can share the quiz mixer. So it's gonna be really exciting, I think, if we were able to have that functionality as well for digital citizenship. Yes, you can just email us at digitalcitizenship@brainpop.com. I also, I'm going to put up my email again at the end. Also wanted just to highlight our certification program. Sara, today, one of our co-presenters, is one of our certified BrainPOP educators. I see a lot of other ones here in the chat too. Thank you, Jean. And we are certifying as many teachers as quickly as possible. It's a really rigorous program. It's a time commitment, but it's really worth it to get to know all the deeper functionality of the BrainPOP platform. So we hope that you'll go to our certification page on BrainPOP Educators, which is listed at the bottom there. Oh, freshly crowned CBE. Hi, Susanna.
Yeah, the CBE program is totally worth it. I learned so much more about BrainPOP tools and loved it. It was a great experience.
Great. Well, I'm just showing here at the end of this. I'm just showing you my the digital citizenship teaching. Nope, I'm showing you something else. Oh, struggling a little bit with this today. In any case, I wanted just to, again, say thank you guys so much for coming today. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, you know how to find us. Let's see us here. And I think that that's a wrap. Again, thank you, Sara, so much for coming today.
Thanks so much for having me, and thanks for everybody who was able to participate today.
Great. I'll stay on for just a few more minutes in case anything else comes up in the chat, guys. But have a great rest of your week. And have a good digital citizenship week there in Indiana.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.